service as per usual. Well, if I'm correct, the NFL is coming to London next week. You would be correct, my dear sir. Did you just call me my dear sir? And my lord, my liege, my sire. That's better. Now, catch me up. What happened in the NFL last week? Absolutely, sir. Well, if you're interested in knowing, the Water Mammals are doing fantastically. The Water Mammals? Isn't that the team who have been terrible for the last 20 years? Yes, that team. How good are they now, my dear squire? Well, my lord, they have scored 70 points. 70 points? That is quite good, if I don't say so myself. But you did just say that yourself. Stop talking. Yes, sire. Anyway, what's next? What's next? Tell me more. Tell me more. Well, you see, the Water Mammals almost broke a record. Which record did the Water Mammals almost break? They almost broke the point record in a single NFL game. And how much would that be? 72. And how far did they come short? 70. But they had a chance to win with a game-winning field goal. So why didn't they? Well, the Water Mammals coach felt respect for the Stallions. That's pathetic. I know. I can't believe they would even disgrace the audience of the international world by doing this so-called chivalry. What are you talking about? You're a knight. You're supposed to know chivalry. Of course, my lord. I love chivalry. That's more like it. Anyway, keep talking, keep talking. What happened next? Well, you see, my lord, something else happened. You see, my lord, the Pope died. Excuse me, what? The Pope died. Oh, that's terrible news. Send for the cardinals immediately. Oh, yes, I shall. Who shall we get to wrangle them up? Maybe the Texans would do a good job. Oh, I don't know, sire. I think the Cowboys would do a much better job. They have a much better chance of wrangling them all up. Yes, you're right. Go do that. Yes, sire. Yes, sire. Sire, I have news. What? The Cowboys lost. Are you kidding me? No, I'm not kidding you, I'm afraid. How did they lose? It's like every single time that we think they're going to be good this year, they decide to not be good. I know, sire, it is absolutely ridiculous. What happened next? Well, the Edgar Allan Poe's and the horse's implant did a great job. An implant? What's an implant? A hoof, that's a good word for it. Why must you pretend like you know the ways of British royalty? Never mind that. Anyway, yes, the Hooves against the Edgar Allan Poe's did a fantastic job. That was a great game. Now, who won? Well, you see, that's why. It went into overtime. Why did it go into overtime? Well, you see, they were going back and forth, and it was tied at 19. And Justin Tucker, the Hall of Famer, Justin Tucker, the future Hall of Famer, Justin Tucker, are you correcting your king? Well, yes, I do believe I am. How dare you? I'm kidding. Can't you ever tell when I'm kidding? No. Anyway, yes, there was a great game. Justin Tucker was about to kick the game-winning field goal. And then what? Well, he missed it. He missed it? Are you kidding? No, I'm not kidding. He missed it. Yes, he missed it, sire. I have no words. Good, because then the Colts marched down the field in overtime and missed it on 4th down. Oh, and then what happened? Then the Ravens did the exact same thing. And then what? The Colts did the same thing. And then the Ravens did the same thing. And then the Colts did the same thing. And the Ravens, yes, they did the same thing. And then the Colts got the ball back and kicked a game-winning field goal. Seriously? Yes. I can't wait for London. Back to R-Square's Monday Morning Mayhem. My name is R-Square and we're back for the Week 3 Power Rankings. Things got shaken up this time around. Our number 1, no longer number 1. Our number 7, like way back at like number 20 or something. I'm going to go through all 32 teams. It's going to be very rapid fire, so listen out for your team on this one. And every so often I'll give a brief explanation on why they're there. And then in the top 10, I'm going to give a few pros and cons about how I think this team's doing in the first 3 weeks. And that's going to be all I do for this video. So, why don't we get started with number 32 in the power rankings. The Chicago Bears. Trouble in Chicago. Things not going well. They lost their defensive coordinator and it showed. They allowed a lot of points against Kansas City. They are not doing well. That's why I put them at 32. I'm sure most of everyone else in the entire world put them at 32 as well. Number 31, the Denver Broncos. I feel bad for this because I don't actually think the Denver Broncos are a terrible team compared to some of the other teams in the division and in the conference in general, the NFL. But they're not good either because they lost 70-20 against a Miami Dolphins team who cannot be stopped right now. But in general, it's just really disappointing to see the Broncos lose by that many points, and that's why I think that the Broncos are 31st. Next up, we have number 30, the Carolina Panthers. Andy Dalton did pull up a little bit of fight against Seattle, but in the end, it wasn't quite enough. That's why I put Carolina at 30, because in the end, they lost Bryce Young. They're still 0-3. It's not a great start for Carolina. Number 29, the Arizona Cardinals, who, as I said in the opening video, who, as King Richard said in the opening video, came up with a huge victory against the Dallas Cowboys, the previous number 1 in the power rankings. So that's kind of disappointing, but, whatever. But the Cardinals did win that one. I'm still not putting them too high because I don't think they deserve to be that high. After all, it's Joshua Dobbs. I don't think the Cowboys were expecting it. I'm putting the Cardinals at 29. Number 28, the New York Football Giants. They still look disappointing through week 3. They just looked slightly less disappointing against the 49ers. It wasn't a pretty win by the Niners, but it was still a win nonetheless. Number 27, the Minnesota Vikings, who still have not come up with a win, but have kept every single one within one score. I'm pretty sure of that. Might want to fact check me on that one. But I'm pretty sure that the Vikings have made it in every single one-score game, but they can't finish a game. Kind of similar to the Chargers. We'll see them a little bit later. Number 26, the New York Jets. Without Aaron Rodgers, they're struggling. Their defense is doing their job, but it's not quite doing the job enough. That's why I'm putting them at number 26. I can't really put them any higher. They're not a great team. They lost to the New England Patriots. It wasn't a great game in general. I doubt anyone that wasn't a Jets-Patriots fan wanted to watch that one. If there were, it was probably because their local TVing kind of made it so that they had to. Number 25, we have the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm really disappointed in all the Bengals have done. I can't, go with it because they haven't played as of when I'm recording this video. They play later tonight against the Rams, so that's going to be a little tough for me to put them anywhere high. I really tried to stay partial on the teams that haven't played yet. I'm not underrating the Bengals. I'm basing it off of the first 2 weeks right now. Because right now, first 2 weeks, they are a bottom half team. They really look disappointing. And in the end, they still do not have a win. So I think they're going to lose against the Rams anyway. But they still do not have a win, which is why I'm taking the Bengals at number 25. Number 24, the Houston Texans, who came up with a big win against Jacksonville. Really crushed the morale in Jacksonville, dropping them to 1-2. The Texans, number 2 in the division. Who could have predicted this? The 2 rookie quarterbacks are the top 2 in the division. Not the Jaguars, not the Titans. It's the Colts and the Texans. But I still put the Texans below both the Jaguars and the Titans because in the end they're all the same record. And the Jags, they won by more points. It was a little more impressive than what we've seen from the Texans and the Titans as well. They've actually won a big game against the Chargers. This was a pretty big game from the Texans, but you can't in general put them ahead of either of those teams yet. But if they do come up with another couple of big wins, you can definitely put them ahead. Number 23, the Las Vegas Raiders. Jimmy G in a disappointing Sunday Night Football matchup against the Steelers. It was kind of a lackluster game in general. 23-18 is the final. Pittsburgh won that one. I wasn't too impressed by the Raiders in general, but of course their head coach is Josh McDaniel. Burned! Okay. Anyway, but yeah, the Raiders, I put them at 23. Jimmy G's just not looking like himself. He threw, I think, 7 interceptions. I was watching it, I'm like, that can't be happening. He's thrown so many interceptions, but half of them have gotten wiped off because of penalties on the Steelers. Number 22, the New England Patriots, as I said just a few minutes ago, they did, in fact, beat the New York Football Jets, which was a little bit difficult for them, but in the end, it's just the conservative play that Bill Belichick has done. He's done a really great job in general of just keeping all teams confined in their spaces. Zach Wilson did not get free once. He did not get a chance to run the ball. He got sacked several times. It's the defense that won that for New England, which is why I can't put them too high because they're 1-2. I can't really put them any higher than 22 in my opinion. Number 21, the Los Angeles Chargers, who finally got their much-needed win against the Vikings. Still, again, can't put them too high, because if I put them too high now I'm picking favorites. Because I do like the Chargers as a team. They played well against Miami, they played well against Tennessee, and then they beat Minnesota. But losing those first two games against arguably teams that they should have beaten, arguably. Not anymore. Now everyone thinks that the Dolphins are the best team in the league. AFC, at least. But they should have definitely beaten Tennessee, and they didn't manage that. So I'm putting the Chargers at 21. Number 20, speaking of the Tennessee Titans, I kind of wanted to put the Titans below the Chargers, but based on that game between the Chargers and the Titans, I had to put the Titans at least one spot ahead of them. So I put the Titans at 20 because Derrick Henry. That's it. That's all I got to say. Next up, number 19, the Washington Commandants, the Commanders. Number 19. I put them there because in general they've been pretty decent. They won their first two games, but those first two games were kind of disappointing wins. But they got blown out by the Bills in week 3, which ultimately bumps them down to 19. Number 18, the Jacksonville Jaguars, who lost a crucial game against the Houston Texans. They were in my top 10 last week. They just got pushed like 8 spots almost. I think it's 8 spots. It might be 9. But I'm pretty sure it's 8 spots. I believe they were number 10 in last week's rankings. They just got bumped all the way back to 18. Very disappointed in their performance against Houston. Of course, I wasn't watching. I was just watching the little tiny scoreboard at the bottom, and I'm like, what? They're losing 17-0? Yeah, that was kind of like the reaction during the game. I'm trying my best. I'm an actor. Anyway, number 17, we have the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans. Yeah. They're playing. They really disappointed against Green Bay. They had a 17-point lead going into the fourth quarter, leading the Packers to their biggest comeback, tied for their largest comeback. With Jordan Love, really fantastic game, coming back there, really rallying the troops and getting the Packers to get into the end zone twice. But that 2-point conversion by Matt LaFleur, gutsy move, but it paid off. But anyway, I'm talking about the Packers. Who's talking about the Packers? I'm talking about the Saints. Derek Carr going down for injury. They are 2-1, but because of that injury, I bumped them down to 17. Number 16, the Indianapolis Colts, who came up with a big-time win against the Baltimore Ravens. Doesn't necessarily mean I bumped the Ravens very far, because the Ravens still played well. I don't think they were ready for Indianapolis. Because this is exactly what happened at around this time of year with Colts-Chiefs. Remember that game? I remember that game. The Chiefs lost in overtime to the Colts because the Chiefs didn't start playing until the fourth quarter. And it was too late by then. Number 15, the Cleveland Browns. Without Nick Chubb, their defense looked phenomenal against the Titans. They really looked good in that one. I have to put the Browns at 15. Can't really put them too high because, again, they don't have Nick Chubb. What are they going to do this year when they play the tougher teams? That's why I'm putting them at 15. Maybe if they come up with a few big wins on the year, maybe they can get a little bit higher than that. But for now, I'm sticking them in the top half, but not much higher than that. Number 14, the Pittsburgh Steelers, who did beat the Cleveland Browns a week ago today on Monday Night Football. Again, a pretty disappointing game. The Steelers don't seem to have very exciting games on nighttime games, do they? I remember I went to the Steelers-Dolphins game last year in October, I believe. Really disappointing game in general. The Dolphins came up with the W in that one. But it was just a really sad game. Nothing happened. But that seemed like the case again in the Las Vegas game and, of course, in the Browns game last week. And in general, the Browns not doing too great of a start to the season. They haven't scored an over amount of points. They're averaging about 20, 24 points a game. I mean, it's not horrible, but it's not great either. Number 13, the Atlanta Falcons. That's right, the Falcons. I chose them above the Saints, the Panthers, not the Bucks. Because even though they did look impressive in the first 2 weeks, they got shut down by the Detroit Lions. The Lions look really good against Atlanta. And in general, Desmond Ridder is just a young quarterback. He can't carry the entire team on his shoulders. Bijan Robinson needs to step up more than he did. Kyle Pitts needs to step up. Drake London needs to step up. All those guys need to do something. Because in the end, it was the Falcons' defense that kept the Lions down to 20 points. Like, that's not impressive, okay? Next up, we have number 12, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. As I said, they played at night. I'm not putting them in the top 10. I can't, because that would be kind of mean to the other teams. They haven't played yet. We don't know. So based on the first 2 games, I'm putting them at 12. Number 11, the Green Bay Pack. The Cheeseheads themselves with an incredible victory over the Saints. I would get a lot of knockback if I put them in the top 10, which is why I'm not doing that. Not really. I wouldn't put them in the top 10 anyway. Because they can't beat number 10, the Detroit Lions. All right, now that we're in the top 10, we're doing pros and cons. We're going to do this fast, though. We're doing pros and cons. Number 10, Detroit Lions. Their pros really are the defense and Jared Goff. That defense came up really big against the Atlanta Falcons, and it showed. And then Jared Goff is just launching codes every single game, just launching it up there, 60 yards plus. I think almost in every game he's thrown a pass like that. He's showing off his arm strength. He looks good. But the big con for me against the Falcons was the fact that they had no running game. I did not see any Jahmyr Gibbs really in that game. I believe David Montgomery's hurt, but I did not see any Jahmyr Gibbs in that one really. It was really all Jared Goff. The Falcons completely shut them down in that sense. I'm taking the Lions at number 10 because I don't want to put them any higher because of that. Running game issues. Number 9, the Seattle Seahawks. I believe that's around where they were last week. They might have gotten downgraded one because they almost lost against Andy Dalton and the Carolina Panthers. Almost. But in the end, they did come up with the win there. The pros for the Seahawks are Kenneth Walker and Tyler Lockett, both really stepping up their games for this one. It looked really impressive to watch the end of that one. But that was the big thing for me. For Seattle was that they had Kenneth Walker going and going and going, and he just did not stop in this one. And then, of course, Tyler Lockett, who, again, had an amazing play towards the end of the game. Fourth quarter is his time to shine. He is a huge red zone threat, and he's going to keep being it for the Seahawks all year long. The con for this one is their defense. They don't have a defense because they could not stop the Carolina Panthers. It was crazy. Like, the Panthers were walking all over them. Like, it was a good practice for Carolina, but that's all that the Seahawks gave. Like, that was crazy. I was watching them like, how is Laviska Shenault getting 20 yards of reception? This is crazy. Anyway, number 8, we have the Los Angeles Rams. Puka Nacua is the big thing for me for the Rams. Because, again, they haven't played yet. They play later tonight. I had to put them high because of Puka Nacua. And because of that, they're just melding so well together. Like, they must have had some team exercise that brought them all closer together. Because at the coming into the year, they had no synchronization. They had nothing. They had no harmony in the team. And now here they are looking like they're just perfect together. Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, Tutu Atwell, Ben Skoranek. No Cooper Kupp. Kyron Williams. It's working. But the big problem for the Rams was turnovers last week against San Francisco. They threw 2 late interceptions, which ultimately gave San Francisco the victory. Number 7, the Buffalo Bills. The pros for the Bills is that they're getting right back where they left off after the Jets game, which was a disappointing loss, which is kind of why they weren't there in my list last week. They came back, blew out the Raiders. Then they came back in week 3, blew out the Commanders. They're doing a really great job of doing that. But it is reckless passing that really gets you down if you're a Bills fan. Josh Allen's not looking where he's throwing. It's like, I think they got to tell Josh Allen, when you cross the road, you got to look before you cross or you're going to get run over. That ball is going to get run over by a defensive back if you don't look where you're throwing. Number 6, the Dallas Cowboys. It was disappointing in general. 1-6. Not a great start. Losing to the Arizona Cardinals, of all people. And, you had to break it. Like, they were doing so well. They just had to break it. To break the streak, they had to lose the division. Everyone knew it. They're going to lose in the wild card round again. That's my prediction. Sorry, Cowboys fans. Anyway, defensively speaking, they played really well against the Cardinals. Actually, it's probably the worst performance, which is weird because the Cardinals are bad. But my biggest thing is the cons for this game. They were unprepared for the Cardinals. It was bad coaching by everyone on the coaching staff. It was terrible. I can't believe I was watching that. It was horrible. I was embarrassed on behalf of Dallas. He's coaching Mike McCarthy. Get him out. I know you can't see my thumb, but get him out. I don't want him in Dallas anymore. He needs to leave. This is embarrassing. You lose to the Arizona Cardinals. You guys were doing so well, but you come in unprepared. One game, that's what happens. They're still a professional football team. It doesn't matter if they're 32 or 2. They are still a professional football team. You can't play them like you're playing the Pee Wee League for like, I don't know, like the Georgia Bulldog Pee Wee team or something. You're playing them like that. But it's not working. You can't do that. That's being unprepared. That's bad coaching. I'm calling him out on this. Mike McCarthy, if you see this video, go ahead and hand your resignation in right now because you're going nowhere this year. Number 5, the Baltimore Ravens, on a positive note. Todd Monken's doing a really great job, really melding the Ravens defense together. But the big thing was those 4th downs. As Squire and King Richard said in the opening video, it was really disappointing to watch the 4th downs missing and missing and missing. I think they missed like 5 4th downs in overtime. It was ridiculous performance by the Ravens on that behalf, but otherwise, pretty decent all around. Number 4, the Philadelphia Eagles. The pros are defense and Jalen Hurts. Again, they haven't played yet. I kept them at 4 because there's nothing really else I can do to them, really. But the big problem with the Eagles is that they're off to a slow start, a very slow start. Number 3, the Kansas City Chiefs. The big thing is Travis Kelce and Chris Jones. Those are the pros. Let's go with the cons. This is the big part. Big con number 1. Patrick Mahomes rolled his ankle. Meanwhile, the biggest con that's going to cost the Chiefs the season. Taylor Swift. She's a bad luck charm. She did it in Philly when the Chiefs played the Eagles. The Eagles lost. She was rooting for Philly. The Eagles lost the Super Bowl because she was there. Every single team that she's performed a game at the stadium before the game or during the week before the game, they lost that game. She's a bad luck charm, Kansas City. Watch out. The Swift curse is coming. Number 2, San Francisco 49ers. Of course, the pros are Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey. As per usual, the cons are they don't have pretty wins so far. Overall, disappointing wins. And, of course, number 1, the Miami Dolphins. 70 points. Incredible victory. That was an awesome game. Tyreek Hill. No Jalen Waddle, but they can do it without him. Devin A-Chain looked fantastic. You know what? Everything looked fantastic. The only thing that I have a con for the Dolphins through the first 3 weeks is their challenges. Mike McDaniel has to get better at it. I think that's all I got for the day. I want to see your guys' top 10. You guys send me your top 10 in the comments down below, and we'll see if we agree or not. If not, we might be having a little comment feud about you putting, let's say, like the Giants at like 3 or something. I'm not going to let that slide, so don't even think about it. Don't even think about it. Well, anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button, and I'll see you in the next video.